Hello everyone, this is your host TrevCL, and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge video. Strap in quickly because today, we aren't just tackling any normal solo run. We're trying potentially the hardest solo challenge to date and answering this simple question. Can you beat Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness with only a single Eevee? Not only is the challenge a unique one, but I'm going to do my best to make this video unique as well, compared to my other videos on the channel at least. Think of it like my other videos are your standard 30-minute episodes of a TV show, and this is an extended special episode / movie. I'm also trying to make it less formulaic than the normal challenges, although that'll be easier considering there's no gym battles, instead key battles being replaced by Cipher admin battles. As for the challenge itself, I know this is certainly a unique one. Coliseum and Gale of Darkness challenges are rare enough, and solo runs are basically non-existent. Through my extensive research of about 5 minutes, there are only 2 completed solo runs on all of YouTube for these games. A fur-only run in Coliseum by Cosmo, and a starter-only run by Evans Plays in Gale of Darkness. The link to those videos will be in the description below. It's no surprise there's so few solo challenges, however, as every battle is a double battle in these games, which in this genre equates to being a 2v1 every single battle. Think about it like this. If you've watched and or done a lot of the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald solo runs, you know how challenging the Tate Liza gym battle is, especially in Emerald where you have to fight 4 Pokemon. Now just imagine every fight in the game is a Tate Liza-like battle. While that's somewhat of an exaggeration, as most fights could be trivial with enough grinding, the endgame will surely be that Emerald battle on steroids. I mean, think about it. Only 1 Pokemon is required to battle, meaning no free Magikarp for your opponents to target. All bosses have Shadow Pokemon, with Shadow moves being super effective on all non-Shadow Pokemon. And even grinding is difficult since there's basically no wild encounters in the Ore region. So how do you think you grind? You guessed it, more double battles. There's way more hurdles, but we'll talk about those when we get there. Next, let's talk about the Pokemon we'll be attempting this challenge with, Eevee. Not exactly an uncommon Pokemon in solo runs. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it might be the most used Pokemon in solo run history. For God's sake, Madrybread has done 4 of the things himself. Great videos, by the way. Love that dude. The reason for using Eevee is that since I'm actually doing this on legitimate hardware for once, the fact that it's the Pokemon you start out with makes it the easiest to obtain by a long shot. Plus, if I'm able to beat the challenge, it'll be the first unevolved solo run done in an Ore region game on all of YouTube. Like I said earlier, this isn't just any normal solo run. One of the challenges this game also provides is the drastic change of TM availability. Normally, in a Gen 3 Eevee run, you get a great coverage move in Dig and an amazing stab move in return during the first half of the game. Well, let's just look where we can get those in this game. Seems like return is in Ore Coliseum. You know, the post-game location. Well, drats. Let's see where Dig is at the very least. Oh, not in the game. Like at all. So yeah, not having access to those moves makes this challenge just that much harder. On a more positive note, Shadow Ball and Iron Tail are available as well as a Body Slam tutor, albeit much later in the story than I would have liked. I know this is my longest intro yet, but I just have to build up how impossible this challenge seems at a first glance. Apparently, this wasn't enough for me, however, as let's now look at how strict I made the rules. Starting with the standard 3. No using anything but Eevee in battle, no using items in battle, and no cheating, hacking, or glitching. Adding on 2 additional rules, the first of which being that I am not allowed to use the call function since that is basically an X accuracy. And the final rule is that I'm not allowed to catch any Shadow Pokemon. Not only does catching the Pokemon potentially make a fight easier if I'm able to first try catch them, but they are also forced into battle right away since there's an open slot on the field. Call this a games done quick event, because we'll be choosing to kill the animals over and over again. One last thing before the run officially begins. If you could give this video a like and click subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, I'd really appreciate it. This is definitely my biggest project by far, and probably will be for quite some time, so any support you can show goes a long way. I have a specific like goal in mind for a bonus, but I'll give details at the end of the video. For now, enjoy this full-length feature film. Like any good TrevCL run, we must first reset for a decent Eevee. This is incredibly tedious as we have to go through the intro every single time, so I end up settling for the first decent Eevee I find. The mild nature should be good considering we'll be rocking the special attacking bite as our strongest move for quite a while, but hopefully that won't come back to bite us when we attain the more powerful physical attacking moves. Our first mission is to find our missing sister, Jovi. She's an interesting character to say the least. We find out that she's most likely playing hide and seek at Dr. Kaminko's house. There, we have our first fight of the run, with the well-meaning but incredibly blind Chobin. All he has is level 5 Sunkern, which is clearly no match for our level 10 Eevee. Soak it in while you can, because that was the only required one-on-one battle in the entire story. Afterwards, we find our sister and head back to the lab. Professor Crane gives us the Snag Machine, which while normally useful, has almost no use in this run. You may be wondering why I said almost, and that's because we have to make an exception to our rules real quick. Team Cipher shows up and kidnaps Professor Crane, but not before we can enter a battle against Spynaps and his shadow Teddiursa. Unfortunately, we're forced to catch said Teddiursa, ending the challenge. Thanks for watching. Just kidding, we'll have to make some more exceptions to this Teddiursa coming up, but first it's time to rally together and head to Gattian Port, so we can gather parts for the Purification Chamber. Only a major event that happens here is the first meeting with the thug known as Zook, who gets taken down by Mystery Man Ardos. I wonder if these really mysterious looking characters play any major role in the plot moving forward. Nah, I'm sure we'll never see them again. The next plot point in the story sends us to Agate Village, and this is where more of those rule exceptions kick in. You see, our goal in this town is to purify a Pokemon. Obviously, Eevee isn't a shadow Pokemon, so we have to include Teddiursa in some battles. Even if I was to purify it purely through walking, I am still required to battle with the Teddiursa in my party. All I ever did with it was either Call or Shadow Mist, so only Eevee has truly participated in battle so far. Despite getting my ass handed to me on my first battle with Egan, thanks to a crit Thunderbolt from his Pikachu, I'm able to easily win on my second attempt, which allows me to finally rid my party of the scourge that is Teddiursa. Should be smooth sailing from now on, as I don't believe I'm required to have any more Pokemon in my party for the rest of the game. You know what wasn't smooth sailing? The Cipher hideout. Welcome to the first of many big difficulty spikes in this run. The Pokemon we've been dealing with so far have been in the level 8 to 10 range so far. So, I walked in confidently with my level 17 Eevee, thinking that I had this. Only to get absolutely toasted by Cypher Peon Red 6, who had a level 14 Slugma and a level 17 Shadow Houndour. Well, okay, that didn't go so well, but maybe the others could be easier. I think I only need to beat one to progress in the story. So I tried to go after Blue 6 next. It was definitely an easier battle, but in the end I was washed away by his Shadow Spheal. You know what they say though, third time's the charm. And the common saying was exactly right, as against Green 6 I finally triumphed. While his team outnumbered mine 6-1, he could only use 2 low level Pokemon at a time. Sure, almost all of them took at least one hit, but their attacks merely tickled Eevee in return. Seedot was definitely the most scary, but with some good flinch and move selection luck, I was able to progress through the previously abandoned hideout. I knew the Hexagon brothers would not be the last of my struggles here, so I decided to do some pre-dungeon grinding, something that would become a habit throughout the run. I attempted to defeat some more of the brothers, and when that did not go well, I cleared my way through areas 1 and 2 of Mount Battle. I came back at level 24, and no longer had issues defeating any of the Hexagon brothers, which in my mind meant I was ready to continue on. This is why I didn't want to allow catching Pokemon. With the Shadow Pokemon clearly being ahead of the pack, those battles would become trivial. You can think that it creates artificial difficulty, or that I'm taking away from the niche of these games if you'd like, but I'm not doing this run for an easy challenge, nor do I think disallowing catching takes away from the uniqueness of this challenge. The fact that every battle is a double battle is unique enough in my books. Tangent aside, I make my way through the hideout, dispatching of peon after peon. Unless you have this game memorized, you won't 100% know when a battle is coming, so I'm constantly healing and saving right after fights just to make sure. Can never be too paranoid in these types of runs. After a slog of fights, I find Professor Crane. Before I can rescue him, it's time for a rematch with Naps. The fact that I won this fight on my first try is nothing short of a miracle. Despite my big level advantage, the lack of good moves is already starting to have a big effect. Nothing is able to be one-hit KO'd, meaning over the course of every 2 turns, I'm getting hit by 3 attacks in that time frame. Rhyhorn is clearly the biggest threat, so I target that first with 2 bites. Murkrow is next, going down to 2 quick attacks. I've taken so much damage, however, that after I finish off Beldum with a second bite, I'm down to just 9 HP. My saving grace in this battle was Slakoth, that could only attack every other turn thanks to Truant. It's literally the closest call ever, as Scratch leaves me with just one last single hit point, but I finish the job and rescue Professor Crane. Well, not quite. There's one last obstacle before the rescue mission is a success, and that is our first boss battle with the Cipher admin, Lovrina. Her squad is incredibly difficult to beat. Between the higher levels of her Pokemon compared to the rest of the grunts, and the quality of the Pokemon she uses being the best we've seen so far, I stand no chance at my current level. It would be a much easier battle if not for her Roselia. It knows the ever annoying Leech Seed, which affects me even after I take it down. I am able to make it a 1v1 against her Shadow Delcatty eventually, but at that point I'm easy pickings as Shadow Rush plus Leech Seed does me in. I could attempt this fight over and over again until I get just the right results, but I figure I'll still need to grind for the next section of the run anyway. So to Mount Battle I go. While we're here, I do want to show how hard grinding is in this part of the run. At the moment, only Area 3 gives anywhere close to an efficient amount of experience. However, Area 3 is a double-edged sword. Since the Pokemon there are much higher level, many deaths still occur. This Raichu in particular is hard to beat with Static, Double Team, and Thunderbolt. Although, the Raichu is far from the worst offender. Their very next trainer has a Togetic that constantly puts me to sleep and or gets the ancient power boosts. So safe to say, grinding is incredibly tedious no matter what route I decide to go at the moment. After what felt like ages, I reached level 35 and decided I was going to fight until I gave up for the night or won the battle. Funny enough, my first 2 attempts at this higher level goes much more poorly than the first one. It's not until my 4th attempt overall where I get just the right luck against a Roselia. I was looking for the bite flinch, but was more than happy to dodge the Leech Seed instead. After eliminating that nuisance, the last challenge is her ace, the Shadow Delcatty. Bite is looking to be a questionable 2-hit KO, however I triggered Delcatty's Cute Charm and inflicted by the worst status, Attraction. Thankfully I break through on the first try and finally beat the biggest threat. Only mon remaining is her Love Disc, which has been merely tickling me with water guns this entire time. Eevee mauls it with just 2 bites, and I have successfully retrieved Professor Crane and cleared the first dungeon of the game. I do check by Agate Village first just to see what tutor moves are unlocked so far. The only one Eevee can learn is Mimic, which isn't a useful move outside of Gen 1. So onward into the story I go. The next location to check out is the ONBS station in Pyrite Town. It'll take some time for the Dataron we acquired from Professor Crane to be decoded. In the meantime, we go around the region checking out various Pokespots, areas where wild Pokemon can actually spawn. We're not concerned about the wild Pokemon though, as at one of the Pokespots, we encounter a huge fan favorite, Mirror B. Known for his entire team of vibing Ludicolo, he only has Lombrace at this point in the game. This allows a long, but overall easy victory in the end. Once the funny dancing Afro Man is defeated, we get an email to quickly come back to ONBS, as it's been infiltrated by Cipher. And boy has it ever. Every floor contains at least 2 Peon battles, which aren't exactly walks in the park. I do first try all of them except for the very last one before climbing the stairs. The problem is his speed boost in Yanma that knows Screech and Sonic Boom. And once again, because of my incredibly weak moveset, nothing is a one-hit KO despite the level gap. On my first attempt, I don't even get it down to a 1v1 before I'm taken out by a Side Wave. I decide to grind just a little bit, only 2 levels, and come back. It's looking to be the same result as for some reason I keep taking out the Sneasel first and not the Yanma. With just 18 HP remaining, I have to finish off the Yanma with a quick attack and deal with both Mischievous and Shadow Duskull. This surely must be a loss, right? Well, miraculously, Mischievous gets an incredibly low roll on the Side Wave as I take out the Yanma. From there, my play is to try and KO the Duskull and hope for Side Wave's inaccuracy to come into effect. That plan works out perfectly, and with the levels I've gained, Bite is just enough to one-shot the Mischievous from full. So you may be wondering, why would I go into such detail for a regular battle? It's one thing to briefly talk about a surprise struggle, but a full paragraph in the script? Well, this is for 2 reasons. 1. This highlights the start of even just regular battles becoming their own chore, and from now on, more battles will be closer to boss level battles than they will be easy first try victories. And 2. That last battle was actually the toughest obstacle in the ONBS section. Not the toughest battle, as the head of the operation is much tougher due to his levels being higher and having a Shadow Mawile, something I can't really deal with at all. He's not an obstacle because you can actually lose this battle and progress in the story, something I never knew until this playthrough. With the ONBS saved, well, for the most part, our next stop is Phenac City. I make a slight detour to check tutor moves in Agate Village once more. Unfortunately, no body slam yet, but we did unlock Substitute. I can see it potentially having use in the future, so I decide to save it for later. Before we can check out Phenac City, we're stopped by a mysterious lady telling us to check out Realgum Tower. I'm forced to, unless I don't want to continue the story, so onwards to another detour. While I'm here, might as well check out a few things. The first of which being Eevee's hidden power. I'm really hoping for fire or ground so I can actually hit the steel types in this run, but no dice as I get the mostly useless hidden power ghost. I'll be able to get Shadow Ball pretty soon, so this will be a decent stopgap for the time being. Another place to check out is the bingo desk. Playing Pokemon Bingo is one of the ways to earn Poke Coupons, clearing Mount Battle areas being another. Poke Coupons will play a huge role later on, but for now, let's grind a few levels and head back to Phenac City. This will not be the last time we see Realgum Tower in this run. It turns out that Phenac has been taken over by Cipher peons, posing as the normal everyday citizens of this fine city. So we slowly make our way through the city, beating up peons as we go along. Surprisingly enough, no one even comes close to challenging our Eevee, so maybe the grind was unnecessary. Cipher peon Grek proves that this isn't the case at all, however. I don't know what it is about fights on stairs in these games, but they are a step up above the normal battles. Bad puns aside, I am still able to narrowly beat him on the first try, as I'm then immediately taken out just 2 battles later against Cipher peon Faultly. In a reverse situation of what happened at the ONBS building, I snatch defeat from the jaws of victory when I miss my takedown and his Stantler crits my Eevee. See what I mean about even minor battles being a chore? Thankfully, the mini-boss battle against Agrog goes smoothly, so I can move on to the second boss battle of the run, the fight against Cipher admin Snattle. Red flags go off immediately, because I'm actually not able to heal between battles. I do take out his Quagsire, but otherwise I get absolutely demolished. By the grace of Arceus himself, all future rematches don't have the Agrog fight before the Snattle one, so it's a lot more even of a matchup now. Though even with being at full HP, it seems at first glance I still stand no chance. I don't even get to his last Pokemon, a Metane that surely tanks my hits all day. The main issue was residual damage, both from Shadow Sky chipping away each turn and takedown recoil. From the beginning of the run, we already knew return would be unavailable to us for the entirety of the run. Obviously, that is quite a shame considering the power would turn 2-hit KOs into OHKOs and the lack of recoil. But if you'll remember from the beginning as well, we have Body Slam as a learnable move. My only concern is that we might not be far enough into the story for the tutor to teach it. As it turns out, we have actually progressed just far enough to learn it. Finally, we have both a strong and reliable attack. This should be enough to make it past Snattle now. Body Slam making it a bearable fight is not to say Body Slam makes it an easy fight. There is still attempt after attempt of making it oh so close, only to have the steel wall that is Metane stop us right at the end. Even when getting to the last 2 Pokemon, Lantern and Metang, with 70 HP and getting a pair on the Metang, that's not enough, as it's still able to break through and end me. Perseverance and patience are key in runs like this, and eventually they pay off. The early game is pretty much the same no matter what. I need to 2-shot the Quagsire, leaving Lantern alive until the end since it doesn't do much damage at all. Next, he'll send out his Lunatone. If it's able to get up a Shadow Sky, that's pretty much the end of the attempt, so I need to get a Bite Flinch, which I do. After taking it down with the second bite, Castform is out next. Thankfully, this is the one freebie I get in the entire battle, as one Body Slam finishes it before any shenanigans can take place. The battle is far from over, as here comes Big Bad Metane. It's imperative I kill it quickly before Metal Claw ends me, so I go for Bite trying for the flinch, but I get something way better. I get a high roll crit to one-shot the Metane, and with one final Body Slam, Lantern suffers the same fate. It was the roughest battle yet, and judging from how the difficulty has been spiking, I'm sure there's plenty more to come. We grab the elevator key so that we can rescue the citizens of Phenac City, and after doing so, we try to head into the desert to check out a mysterious ship, the same ship that was stolen by Shadow Lugia in the opening scene of the game. However, our scooter isn't able to make it past the deep sand, so after stopping by ONBS to see what to do, our travels bring us back to Kamiko's house to fetch the mechanic capable of making the upgrade we need. Once again, the lovable but needs new glasses person known as Chobin stops us thinking we're an intruder. He still has his Sunkern, but somehow obtain a Gyarados as well. Gyarados can only carry so much, however, as it's another easy victory. Chobin will not be so easily defeated, as Kamiko activates the Robo Groudon and the rematch begins. I don't know how, but apparently a Robosuit instantly evolves his Sunkern and gives him a Hoppip and a Tropius that he didn't have before, but I learned long ago not to question the game's logic. The battle itself is definitely tougher, though the only threat turns out to be the Hoppip surprisingly enough. With both Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, what looks like to be a sure victory turns into a narrow one. Thankfully, I wake up just in time to body slam the Hoppip to death, and that is Boss Battle 3 out of the way. Yes, you heard that right. Robo Groudon Chobin was actually a boss battle. It has the special music and everything. With all that straightened out, and the scooter now upgraded, let's head over to the SS Libra. Lots of important events jam-packed into one section here, but thankfully, not a lot of battles. Only one being against Cipher Peon Smarten on the deck of the ship. He hurts for sure, but since I'm able to actually OHKO everything for once, winning is a breeze overall. Afterwards, we're tasked with discovering what's making a ruckus in the ship. We not only discover the mystery noise to be a lost Bonsly, but we also obtain the most useful item in any solo run ever, the leftovers. Now, we can take a lot more damage, especially the longer the battle is drawn out. While things are looking up for the run itself, our poor character in-game is robbed at Gloom Point and loses the Snag Machine. Again, not really a big deal at all for the run, but for the story we obviously need to go and retrieve it. So in a series of events while looking for the Snagem hideout, including a rematch against the illustrious Mirror B, we find just the clue we needed and storm into the base to retrieve our Snag Machine. Once again, we have a dungeon where we must clear out a ton of grunts. At least this time we're fighting someone other than Team Cipher. Unlike Team Cipher, none of them really pose any sort of threat. Sure, some of them are incredibly annoying, and there are a few close calls, but after beating Waken, who took our Snag Machine back at the ship, it's time for Gonzap. As the boss of Team Snagem, he is definitely no pushover. We run into the same situation as the one with Snattle, where I have back-to-back battles with no opportunity to heal in between. This of course leads to a quick and painful demise, sending me all the way back to the lab. Once again though, we are able to battle Gonzap right away in all future rematches. And just like the Snattle battle, this is far from a walk in the park. Gonzap is one of the few story battles in this game that uses a theme team. And you may ask, what is the theme of his team? All of them know the incredibly destructive Hyper Beam. Sure, it takes a turn to recharge after every use, giving me the opportunity to focus on the Pokemon not recharging to score a free KO. But a 150 base power move targeting my much lower physical defense is a death sentence in combination with his 5 high level Pokemon. The worst part is that his last Pokemon is a Skarmory, the Steel type being a natural enemy of Eevee in this run. I was quite surprised however, as this fight only took me 2 tries, 3 if you count the battle where I was worn out prior. He always starts off with his Nuzleaf plus Electrode, which is a lost turn for me thanks to Fake Out. I decide that killing Electrode first is best, since Nuzleaf is not that big of a threat, leading to his Vileplume. From the previous attempt, I know it has Sleep Powder, and that getting hit by that is not an option if I want to win. Luck is on my side, as I'm able to one-shot it, which leads to Wishcash. Unlucky for me, however, as Body Slam is not able to one-shot this time. My luck flips once more due to Nuzleaf missing its Hyper Beam, allowing me to take a free turn to knock it out. I should have this battle won assuming no more crazy luck flipping, and I thankfully do. I even get a Para full Para to rub salt on the wound. Now that I have defeated Gonzap, he shows his respect to me by gifting me back my Snag Machine. That is not his only gift however, as he also gives me a key. Taking a detour to find a previously locked item box, we finally obtain the amazing coverage move, Shadow Ball. We take out the thug from the beginning of the game, Zook, and with a little help from our new pals Team Snagem, our journey into the Shadow Factory begins. It's been a hot minute since we had a dungeon filled with Cipher peon battles, so let's do another one. The Shadow Factory, more commonly known as the Cipher Key Layer, introduces us to the concept of trainers having more than one Shadow Pokemon. It is also the biggest and most battle-dense dungeon yet, having us fight 17 separate battles and a baker's dozen worth of Shadow Pokemon if you include the boss of this lair, Gorgon. More on him in a minute. Despite this gauntlet of battles, we make it all the way to the end without a single feint or reset, and shut down this evil factory. Before we can battle Gorgon, we have to have a rematch against the peon we fought on the ship, Smarten. He causes us some pain, but ultimately is another first try victory. Of course, nothing can ever be that easy, and Gorgon reminds us of such. He's another one of those theme battles. His battle can be summed up by two simple words: Earthquake and Protect. He leads off with Acilio and the bane of our existence, Lairon. Steel types have been a thorn in our side this entire run, and this fight just embodies that. Gorgon's shtick is to protect with one Pokemon, and then fire off a free EQ with his other Pokemon. The problem lies in the fact that not only am I dealing with very high level Pokemon and high power moves, I'm also dealing with Lairon that can take multiple bites. There are many problems in this battle that I have to deal with. First of which being he has the highest level Pokemon so far and very powerful moves such as Earthquake and Iron Tail, not to mention the fact that Lairon, which is hitting me with Iron Tail, can take multiple bites. There's also the fact that I can only attack certain Pokemon on certain turns, otherwise I basically lose that turn. However, if I can play my cards right, I can potentially have many free turns of my own. It takes a few attempts to learn the strategy as well as to gain enough levels to ensure KOs, but on my 4th attempt I achieve victory. As usual, he leads off with Lairon and Celio. He will always EQ with Celio and protect with Lairon, so the play is to hopefully one-shot the Celio for a free turn. I get the roll in my favor, as next in line is his Slowking. In this scenario, he'll always attack with both, though his Slowking is guaranteed not to use EQ as to not seriously damage the Lairon. I need to bite the Lairon 3 times to take it out, and here's where I go for the first out of those 3. From prior runs, I know that Shadow Ball will OHKO the Slowking, but I want to keep it alive a bit longer. This next turn works out amazingly for me, as I get a bite flinch on the Slowking, and the Lairon does nothing thanks to Protect. On the next turn, I get my second of the bites I need, but Disaster strikes as I'm confused by the Water Pulse from Slowking. This was always the risk of this particular strategy, so I just need not to hit myself. I also need to either dodge Iron Tails, or at the very least, not suffer any defense drops. Everything works out in my favor, as with 3 Body Slams, down goes the Ursaring, the Primeape, and the Hypno. In that span, I'm getting bombarded with Iron Tails. Luckily, none of them land crits or a defense drop, so one final bite Celios the deal. In a totally crazy twist that I'm sure absolutely no one saw coming, the old man from the beginning of the game is Grandmaster Greevil, the leader of Cipher. I'm sure that's never been done before, especially in this specific series of games. There's just one last area remaining in the game, Citadark Isle. Not only do we have to prepare for the journey ahead of us in the story, we also need to do some preparation with our Eevee. This is the first of our major grind sessions. You heard me right, the first. We get our Eevee to the respectable level of 70 by running through as much of Mount Battle as we can, getting slightly further each time. We also spend hours at the bingo counter in Ryogum Tower, and after winning dozens of games of Pokemon Bingo and gathering well over 11,000 Poke Coupons, we can purchase the elusive Choice Band. Don't get me wrong, I still think Leftovers will be the better item going forward, but I can definitely see fights where needing to OHKO everything takes priority over regaining 1/16 of our health every turn. I even tried my hand at getting the Iron Tail TM from the Ryogum Tower Coliseum. Unfortunately, 4 level 40 trainers with no saving in between seems to be quite impossible at this juncture, so enough dawdling. It's time for perhaps the biggest dungeon in all of Pokemon history. That's certainly not an exaggeration either, just look at the stats. The Shadow Factory was a grind, and that was 17 double battles and 13 Shadow Pokemon. Now we're dealing with 32 battles and 35 Shadow Pokemon. Heck, the final boss of the game has an entire team of Shadow Pokemon. I don't want to spoil too much though, so let's continue on with the journey. I know I've been covering every tough battle so far, but since there are so many boss battles coming up, I'll mainly be covering those for the rest of the video. I'm trying to make a longer movie-like video here, not an 8-part documentary or anything like that. What I will tell you though, is that almost every fight in this place can end you. The beginning battles are easy enough, but by the end even normal battles consist of 3 to 6 level 40 plus Pokemon. I'm forced to grind multiple times throughout because if I can't beat a simple Peon battle, I'll surely stand no chance against the later admin battles. The first admin rematch is actually in the very beginning, against Lovrina. Just like the first time, her Roselia is a pain in the ass with its Leech Seed, draining double of what my leftovers can recover each turn. The major difference here is that this time I have an actual good moveset. I'm able to obliterate all of her Pokemon in one shot, including her Shadow Farfetch'd and Shadow Altaria. That's nothing compared to what we'll face in the future. I continue to work my way through the hell that is Citadark Isle. It really does look like it in some parts, considering all the lava and dead Pokemon. Well, that last part is due to my absolutely jacked Eevee, but I digress. Because of all these high level battles, a few which I need to go back to Mount Battle and grind for, my Eevee is now in the low 80s as I'm quickly approaching the next boss battle rematch. In a normal Pokemon game, you have the Elite Four and Champion to finish the game. Black and White changed that a bit, having the Elite Four, then the Legendary fight, and 2 final fights before the credits roll. In Sword and Shield, you've got a few tournaments, 2 boss fights, the Legendary fight, and then the Champion battle before credits roll. Well, if I was to compare this endgame with any other one, it'd definitely be closest to Sword and Shields. The ending of XD Gale of Darkness is basically a boss rush, rematching with Snattle and Gorgon, as well as fighting the mysterious men from before, Ardos and Eldis. Then, the finale is the fight with Shadow Lugia and the head of Cipher, Grandmaster Greevil. So while we may not have many battles remaining, I'd argue that we're nowhere close to done. With all that in mind, let's begin arguably the toughest stretch in solo run history. It starts with the Snattle rematch, and oh boy is he ready for revenge. He wastes no time as he leads off with Quagsire and Metane, the biggest threat from last time. My goal is to immediately take it down, which I do with just 2 bites. Apparently he did his homework, because he sends out yet another steel type, Scizor. At this point I already know I have no chance thanks to the speed drops from Mudshot and a Steel Wind crit. I'm proven correct as just 1 turn later I'm finished off by the Shadow Sky Solrock had set up. Obviously that was not the best showcase to start off, so let's give it another try. My strategy this time is to focus on my downfalls from last time, Quagsire's speed drops and Scizor. So that's just what I do, as thankfully Quagsire is an easy one-shot. I cannot say the same for Scizor thanks to its bulk and steel typing, though a second body slam is enough. You can see I'm leaving the Metane alive, and that's intentional. Metal Claw was the strongest move I could get hit with in the first battle back in Phenac, but here in the rematch it's actually the weakest. I still could lose quite easily if it gets enough attack boost, or I fail to one-hit KO the other Pokemon I'm aiming for. Luckily, that's not the case, as once it's down to just Metane, I easily 2-shot it with Shadow Ball and move on to the next boss battle. Next up to fight is the man who crushed Zook at the beginning of the game, Ardos. Good thing my Eevee is triple the level of the Zangoose that the Alakazam originally took out, so I can easily end it. What's not so easy is the rest of the battle. Since I targeted the Zam first, the Shadow Swallow was free to cut right through my defenses with a Shadow Half, the Shadow type equivalent of Super Fang. My strategy from there is to leave the Kingdra alive, since while Hydro Pump certainly hurts, it's the least damaging and reliable move left on the field. This plan almost pays off, as I make it to the point where only Shadow Snorlax and Kingdra are left. To my dismay, Body Slam alone cannot kill the Snorlax in one hit, and very appropriately, this attempt is Shadow Ended. That first attempt allowed me to formulate my plan for success, however. I equipped the Choice Band to ensure I'll be able to one-shot anything on the team, including the Snorlax. I take out the Swallow first as not to incur massive damage upon my Eevee. From there, the attempt is the exact same as the last one. Leave Kingdra alive until I've taken out everything else. Everything is looking amazing until I get crit on the second to last Hydro Pump. I thought it over and came to the decision I should try and bank off a Shadow End miss since it's less accurate than Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, that result does not occur, and this battle will have to take at least 3 attempts now, which it does. I follow the plan from the last attempt to a T, and as long as there's no Hydro Pump crit, which there's not, I'm then able to one-shot the Snorlax before turning my sights on Kingdra itself, bringing me one step closer to the end of this run. Of course, nothing can ever be that simple. Right as I'm about to confront Greevil, he puts up a barrier between us, so I'm forced to take the long way to sneak in another entrance to get to this room. Due to this, I'm now forced to battle Gorgon to earn the right to do so. He still uses the EQ plus protect strategy, but now he's way harder to defeat. The problem is, as always, his stupid steel type. He's evolved his Lairon to an Aggron and apparently received blessings from RNGesus himself. All it takes is one defense drop and then a crit from 2 Iron Tails before my Eevee is history. At this point, I've had it with all the feigning and having to backtrack to grind. While I certainly have a good chance to win against Gorgon on my second attempt without hacks, I already know that I'm going to have to grind for the last 2 battles anyway. So I start my last big grind of the run, the grind to level 100. I start first in Mount Battle, since I can now fight incredibly powerful trainers who have Pokemon at a higher level than the final boss, in fact. The only reason I'm actually able to beat these trainers is due to them not having full teams for the most part and the lack of Shadow Pokemon on the teams. My second stop is the Realgam Tower Coliseum. Now that I'm approaching the max level, I should be finally strong enough to take down every trainer in the tournament, allowing me access to the most coveted coverage move in Eevee's arsenal, Iron Tail. Knowing the torment that this game has put me through, of course it had to be the last out of the 4 tournaments, meaning I had to win 16 fights, 4 in a row at a time. But it's all worth it as I can finally hit just about every Pokemon in the game for at least neutral damage. With what looks to be our final moveset in hand, I used the 6 rare candies I've obtained throughout the playthrough to reach the pinnacle of power, level 100. Now at my current level, I should be able to clear my way to the final boss with ease. I get off to a great start against Gorgon. Absolutely nothing can live a hit from me anymore, and I play perfectly around his protect shenanigans. Thanks to Aggron's absurd physical defense, it can live 1 Iron Tail. Gorgon's fate has already been sealed though, as one final bite brings me my easiest victory in ages. We're not given long to bask in Eevee's greatness, as now it's time for the second to last boss battle in the entire game. As I previously said, you'd think nothing could stand in our way at this level except for maybe the final boss. Oh, how wrong I was. Everything starts off swell. Manectric goes down to Shadow Ball so I don't have to risk the paralysis from static. I'm a bit concerned when I see Salamence come out, as now my hit will deal significantly less damage thanks to Intimidate. Don't have to worry about that yet due to the Body Slam crit one-shotting the Salamence, leading to yet another Dragon type, Flygon. I see Ninjask as the next big threat. I don't want any Silver Wind boosts ruining my day, so down it goes. This is where the first attempt ends, because you're about to meet the most OP Shadow Pokemon in this entire game. Shadow Marowak is holding the Thick Club. Not only does it double Marowak's attack stat, apparently it also doubles as a magic wand. With one wave of its magic wand and Shadow End, all my HP disappears! Despite a 56 level difference, my Eevee is obliterated into next week, and so is this attempt. We're so very close to the final boss, but it seems we're doomed to be brick-walled until we can hack the Marowak. In theory, it should be quite easy. Factoring in the crit chance, para chance, full para chance, and Shadow End's 50% accuracy, it shouldn't take too many attempts. But remember earlier in the run, when I talked about the potential of the Choice Band item?
Don't get me wrong, I still think Leftovers will be the better item going forward, but I can definitely see fights where needing to OHKO everything takes priority over regaining 1/16 of our health every turn.
It's already been a big help when it comes to grinding. Now it's time for the Choice Band to save the run. Or at the very least, save me some time and attempts. With this all-powerful item equipped, Eevee is now unstoppable. Nothing can stand up to the power of a CB Stab Body Slam. Not Manectric, not Salamence, not Flygon, not Marowak, not Lapras. Oh wait, it can. Give me a second. As I was saying, not Lapras, and certainly not Ninjask. And with that, there is only one last fight remaining. The first, the last, the only showdown with Grandmaster Greevil in XD001, aka Shadow Lugia. The Lugia fight itself is incredibly straightforward. I obviously can't catch it due to my rules, although I do have the Master Ball. But I can take it down with Shadow Ball followed up by a bite. Just like that, the oh so powerful monster known as Shadow Lugia is no more. Obviously Greevil is enraged by this and immediately challenges us to one final duel. If you thought one Shadow Legendary was tough, How about 3 of them? That's right, Greevil has all 3 of the legendary birds at level 50, and an Executor, Tauros, and Rhydon at level 46. Of course, all 6 are also Shadow Pokemon, meaning we'll be taking some serious damage throughout the battle. As you can see with this first battle, Eevee is able to take down 3 of his Pokemon, but ultimately stands no chance at the moment. I realized this right away and decide to go in with a different moveset for the next attempt. I come back with the TM for Protect. I know Bite will have no use in this fight, so might as well use Protect to stall for extra lefties recovery every other turn. At first, this appears to be the solution to all my problems, as now I can take way more hits throughout the battle. I quickly learned that there were more problems than I originally accounted for, however. On a team with the 3 legendary birds, Tauros is the Pokemon that seriously brick walls this fight. Intimidate means I can't knock it out in one hit, nor any of the other Pokemon left, and it will always set up a Shadow Sky if given the opportunity, meaning I can never protect in front of it. Not only can I not win this fight, I haven't even seen the Zapdos or killed the Articuno yet. The one positive is that, like any other fight in this game, Greevil will always send out his Pokemon in the exact same order, so I just need to come up with the perfect strategy. My first idea is to go back to the move tutor and learn the incredibly powerful Double Edge. Sure, the recoil is less than ideal, but 120 base power is 120 base power. Now, I don't exactly want to delete any of my important moves, and since Protect is viable, I decided to replace it with Double Edge for the time being. It'll be a bit annoying to have to teach Protect after every reset, but it's better than potentially locking into a specific strategy and screwing up the entire run. My first idea was for Double Edge to replace Body Slam as my stab move, so I do just that, learning Protect over Body Slam for the time being. This should give me the power to one-shot Tauros, or at least that's the hope. As with every attempt, I take down Rhydon with a single Iron Tail. Really don't want to take any more Shadow Ends after the last few boss battles. After protecting for lefties recovery, I take down the Executor with a Shadow Ball. I have to immediately attack the Tauros to avoid Shadow Sky being active on the field. I'm thrilled to see Tauros go down in one Double Edge. Things are looking great until I protect again for more lefties and learn that Articuno will also go for Shadow Sky if it's allowed to. I still have to try to win, obviously, so I go for Iron Tail. Way less accurate than Double Edge, but stronger thanks to Steel type being super effective on Ice, and I can't risk any further recoil. Unfortunately, the risk turns out to be greater than the reward, as I miss and get bombarded by Shadow Sky boosted attacks. So what would an attempt look like where I don't let the Articuno set up Shadow Sky and actually do hit my Iron Tail? Well, it looks pretty damn good. It takes me nearly 10 attempts to get back to this point, so I try to make the most out of it by actually hitting the Iron Tail for the one shot. Victory is just within my grasp, but I'm unsure if I'll have enough health to survive another hit, plus 2 recoils from Double Edge. I test my luck and go for the Double Protect, and it works. I'm thinking I've just beaten the challenge, and I'm already starting to prepare for the video making process when the unthinkable happens. Moltres lives the Double Edge with a sliver of HP, and the combination of Shadow Fire plus Shadow Bolt dashes my hopes of winning anytime soon. You see, because of the nature of this game, Shadow Pokemon will have randomized stats. One run, Moltres could be guaranteed to die to a Double Edge, but if I reset, the new Moltres could be guaranteed to live it. Now I could just test Double Edge over and over again until I get a Moltres that dies every time, and just make sure not to reset, but I thought that would take way too long, and went with trying to be incredibly lucky with Double Protects. After over a dozen attempts, nothing comes close. Even if I was to get all the luck in my favor, who knows if I can actually beat the Zapdos 1v1 to win the run. Things were definitely looking bleak, as I'd been at that fight for 2 hours already and had nothing to show for it, so I was about to go to bed for the night. All of a sudden, a thought popped into my head. This entire time, I had been trying to overpower Tauros' Intimidate. What if that was the wrong solution? What if the answer was to avoid or somehow negate the Intimidate? I did have some white herbs in my inventory which would reverse the effects of the Intimidate, but that would mean being without leftovers for the entire battle, which I knew was the key to victory. So that idea went out the window. One last idea came to me. There was one final move that I could learn back in the Gate Village: Substitute. I confirmed on Bulbapedia that Substitute did indeed block Intimidate, and I knew I had my answer. The only problem was, what move do I replace? I no longer needed Double Edge for the power, so Body Slam was brought back. Iron Tail was the only way to effectively kill Rhydon and Articuno in one hit, so that had to stay. And lastly, Protect allowed me to gain way more health from leftovers throughout the battle. So in the end, I decided to replace Shadow Ball with Substitute. I knew Executor's defense wasn't the greatest, so I just had to hope that Stab Body Slam did a good enough job. It was time to end this run once and for all. I knew from experience that Shadow Fire alone could not break my sub based off the damage it was dealing, so that was my play turn 1. From there, I had to bank on the inaccurate Shadow End to miss. I wasn't able to get the miss on the first substitute, but after a double protect allowed me to regain much of my lost HP, I got the result I was looking for on the second one, allowing me to freely kill off the Moltres. As always, Executor was the third Pokemon to show its face, or should I say, faces. It all came down to if Body Slam was enough to one-hit KO it. To my ever-growing glee, it was indeed enough, and the battle was starting to snowball in my favor. Making sure to attack the Tauros right away, I slammed into it for an instant KO, dodging Shadow Ends along the way. Despite 3 of his Pokemon being down, my Eevee had effectively not been touched at all, thanks to leftovers. Articuno was next, and that too was a one-shot, this time with an Iron Tail. Rhydon was finally able to hit Eevee when it was not behind a sub, but too little, too late. Body Slam finishes off the weakened Rhydon, and now it all comes down to if I can take out the Zapdos in one hit. I should be safe regardless, but nothing else matters thanks to Body Slam finishing it off. Not only have I beaten Grandmaster Greevil and saved the Ore region from Cipher, I have proved that yes, it is possible to beat Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness with only a single Eevee. I want to start off this ending by thanking everyone who watched this video and joined me on this crazy journey. I know this was a long one, but I felt like this run, and this game in general, deserved this amount of work and dedication. This project was quite the challenge, and really gives me appreciation to creators like J-Rose, who do these long videos almost every upload. Speaking of appreciation, I would love if you could leave a like and hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video and have not done so yet. I said at the beginning of this video that I would have a like goal for a bonus video, so now's the time to let everyone know the specifics. If this video hits 100 likes, I will start work on a sequel to this video where I attempt to clear all 100 battles in Mount Battle with only an Eevee. I know that seems like a lot of likes for a channel my size, considering my biggest video doesn't even have half that total, but this video was a huge undertaking, and I'm sure a possible sequel would be as well. That's not to say I will never make the video if this one doesn't hit the goal, just that it would be on my own terms, meaning it could be years from now. So if you want that sequel to be uploaded faster, be sure to like and share with your friends so they can like too. Work begins as soon as that number hits 100. Next order of business is the Sapphire Solo series. This video took longer than I would have hoped, so my original goal of a December start date might be pushed back. I have an additional goal to have all 3 starters uploaded in the same week, though if that's taking too long, I might have to ditch that idea as well. Absolute latest the Trico video will be out is the middle of January, but again, I hope to get it out sooner. That's about all I have to say for this video. Hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next time.